It's time for conversations. Who? What? How? Why?
Don't judge me until you know me. Don't underestimate me until you challenge me. And don't talk about me until you talk to me. Or better yet, mind your business and stop minding mine.
What will be today's conversation? Understanding viewpoints, educating, and stimulating discussions. It's time to connect to T-Horne, your host. It's time for conversations.
Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? Once again, it is Conversations with yours truly, T-Horne da Uncool. Now, last week we had our first episode, and I have to say, It was great. We talked about polygamy, why and why not. I got a lot of positive reviews, a lot of testimonies, and a lot of people come to me say, hey, T-Horne, thank you for that, because now I have more understanding. Not that I have more understanding. Some people were like, hey, you gave me a chance to open up and really share a side of my life that I wasn't able to share. But your podcast gave me an avenue to do that. So today, what's our topic? We are talking about the downfall of today's youth. Now, I'm not saying it's a fact. That is definitely the opinion of a lot of adults today, because the way we grew up and the way the youth are looking now is totally different, like night and day, like flipping the coin. It's totally different and they don't match up. So we want to get some viewpoints from some adults today who work with the youth, but also I don't feel it's fair to talk about the youth without including the youth themselves. So I invited 3 students, 2 in middle school and 1 in college, to give their insights too. But before we get started, remember, it's very important to keep this show going. We need your support. So if you could support and donate at # T the Uncool. That's the cash app for the show. And if you want to watch the show, just make sure you support the page on Facebook, Conversations with T-Horne da Uncool. Or you can go to my actual fan page, which is just facebook.com/T the Uncool. TDA Uncool. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in some of our guests to introduce themselves, to tell us about why they're here and what makes them good enough to talk about the subject we're talking about today. So, can we bring in the first guest, please?
Hello, my name is Eric, and
Hello, Eric. You got right too.
this is my first time ever doing it, so I really don't know what I'm doing.
I understand though, but I'm happy you're on here, Eric. I really am. I didn't think you was gonna make it, but I'm glad you did. I know you're excited, man. But just gonna bring it down a little bit. I understand. So, with that being said, Eric, so tell us about yourself. What you're about. What made you qualified to talk about this subject? Go ahead, man.
My name is Eric, and I feel like I'm very well spoken, and I can represent for the youth.
How old are you, Eric?
13.
All right, 13 years old. So that's a good viewpoint, a 13-year-old viewpoint, you know what I'm saying, to speak on. But speak for yourselves. It's one thing for adults to be talking about what they think, but I think it's very important for somebody of your age. And you already know I work with you in school. So this is one of my students, just so you guys know. I'm not going into details, but I work with Eric every day. And I chose him because of how well-spoken and how opinionated he is. But he's not opinionated about having facts to back up his claims. And that's what I like about him, Sometimes I get him in trouble, but the boy is speaking some sense sometimes and everything. But Eric, I'm glad to have you on the show, man. I can't wait to hear your viewpoints, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, next guest, please. Soraya. Hey, sweetie. Hold on, Soraya. We can't hear you, baby. We can't hear you. Turn your mic on.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
My name is Soraya Nettlesby. I'm a college student at University of Central Florida that's located in the Orlando area. I'm 19. Why do I feel like I'm qualified? Honestly, I feel like if you're a part of the youth, it kind of makes you qualified because you're a part of what they're talking about. The different age ranges, I think it'll allow for different perspectives. So yeah, I think it's just I'm in college, so I'm a different type of youth than Eric is, since he's in middle school, and so he's a different generation. Not to say he has less to say, just to say he experienced different things in different ways.
Okay, cool. So just a little backstory on Soraya. So I know Soraya and her family are members of Boom Church, Believers of One Messiah, and me and Soraya got close back in the day because I actually used to be Soraya's youth pastor back in the day. And I stayed close to her, and I always thought highly of her and her speaking and everything. And one thing about her, she's going to tell you how you feel, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. So I thought she would be good to be on this show. But so, Soraya, thank you for giving insight today and supporting the youth. I appreciate it, baby.
Thank you.
All right. And next guest, we got a load of them today, y'all.
Hey, everybody. My name is
and now we got Messiah Austin on here also. So Messiah, tell everybody about yourself and why you feel like you're qualified to speak on the subject today.
Well, my name is Messiah Austin. I'm 14, and I feel like I'm qualified, because I'm part of the youth.
Okay, cool. So we got 3 people representing the youth today to give insight on the downfall of youth. Do y'all feel like there's a downfall with the youth today, honestly?
Yes.
I'm actually gonna say yes and no. Like I feel like we have our pros, but we have our cons as well. So
Well,
I
that's
wouldn't like necessarily yes, there's a downfall, but I definitely feel like there's like things where we could improve on.
well, that's what we're here to talk about today. So I want to hear all of it. All right. So with that being said, let's bring our adult guest on at the same time. Let's go. Mr. Fenton Ramsey. I'm not Fenton Reese. I'm sorry. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm good. I can't complain. How you be, man?
I'm good, sir. I appreciate you taking time to come on this podcast and talk about this issue today. Can you tell everybody a little bit about you, where you're from, what you're about, and why you qualified to speak on the program?
Yeah. So my name is Fenton Reese, but I'm more known as Reese the Poet or Mr. Reese, whatever the case is. I'm an artist. I make music, obviously, but I also am a slam poet and a youth mentor. I travel to different schools and try to motivate them as best I can. You know what I'm saying? Give them a little bit of truth and challenge students to make healthy life choices. I've spent probably the last 10 years jumping from elementary, middle to high school to college students, young adults, all the above. And so it's been a good time. I've had the privilege of traveling to a lot of different demographics in a lot of different areas. And so hopefully I can provide, something to this conversation.
That's what's up, man. We also got Mr. Grayson Marshall. How you doing, sir?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, sir. So no shade to any of the other guests on here today, but I was very, very excited about getting you on here because it's been a long time, sir. Me and Grayson go back to the juvenile detention centers at Duval Academy, and so I first met him. So can you give a little insight about yourself, what you do, and why you're qualified to speak on this subject, sir?
Well, I've been an executive coach for over 20-some years, a former All-American in college. I have 4 kids and I have 4 grandkids. I've been a keynote speaker for over 20 years. Written 6 books, and I've been a coach for a long time at every level, especially in the sports realm. So when it comes down to kids, and I use that term because, again, my oldest is 33, so everybody less than that is a kid to me. But I think there's a true understanding and a misrepresentation of a lot of what's going on today. So my heart has always been specifically to raise up folks to have a clarity of thought and not so focused on emotion. And so I think the conversation tonight will be beneficial to not only the kids on here, but everybody watching and everybody who's going to watch it later. So I appreciate the opportunity and time.
Gotcha. So we do have another guest joining us, but he'll be joining us in the second hour. We'll get to that later on, but let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Before we get the conversation started, I want to hit our 6 conversation starters that I got our conversation. The first one, what are some of your views on the mindset of the youth today and why? Our second one is going to be, what factors do you think had the biggest impacts on our youth? Third one's going to be, who do you blame for the current state of our youth and why? Number 4 says, how do you think the future looks considering the ways that our youth are coming up now? Our 5th conversation starter is going to be, what changes can be made to promote positive influence within the lives of our youth? And the 6th one, the most critical one, are the youth of today lost? And can we still save them? These are all good questions I want everybody to have a good viewpoint on. Unfortunately, our middle school students are only on for the first hour, so let's make sure we hit these first 3 viewpoints and get their point of view. But also, let's make sure that we are listening to everyone and everyone's, showing a mode of respect when people are talking. Let's not break each other up. Let's not interrupt each other. Let's hear everybody has to say. All right. So with the first one, what are some of your views on the mindsets of youth today and why? And honestly, I want to hear from the kids first and see what you guys think when it comes to the mindsets of you guys, because nobody can tell us about y'all mindsets better than y'all. Agreed? So, who want to speak up first? Come on, don't be shy now. Go ahead, Sir Ryan.
So for me, I think it honestly depends on who you talk to. I feel like it differs between like genders and age ranges. But for the most part, I feel like our mindset is very geared towards like success, and that can be a good thing, but I think it also just gets taken like blown out of proportion. I think we're always constantly trying to be like perfect and put on for the next person, and like basically put this picture out that like we have more than we really do. In that, even like for like girls, it's like the body image aspect of it, like you want to be like this perfect girl to the man and like all that good stuff. And then with men, like they're always trying to put on like they're so tough, so heavily, and I think that's where you get involved with like the gangs and stuff like that, because you're trying to put on for these people that like you're so big and bad. And I think it's just like definitely, you said why are, I definitely think social media contributes to it. Social media, you have to put on this front like you have it together, you have money, like the expectations of like an average 17-year-old are like absolutely insane, even down to like the things that we do for fun, the things that we wear, like it's very glamorized. And I think that people fail to realize that at the end of the day, we're all just kids. Some people can't afford the nicer things. And I think that's what leads into a lot of issues for us, is definitely social media and like our mindset of where we should be at the age that we are at.
So, Sarai, let me ask you a question. You said something that caught my attention. You said that your guys' mindset is focused towards success.
Mm-hmm.
In your mindset, what does success look like for you?
Well, my success, I feel like, is really different because I've gotten told many times that I'm like mature for my age. So the things that I want to reach in life is like a happy, successful career. I'm going into the medical field, so I want to be successful in that. I want to have a good husband, a husband that's God-fearing. So it's like my mindset for a 19-year-old, most 19-year-olds aren't thinking about like when they get married, is their husband going to be praying every night over the family? Most 19-year-olds don't think like that, but that those are some of the things that I have that are like my personal goals. Like, if I'm marrying, are they God-fearing? My schooling, just who I am in the community, am I giving a good enough benefit to people? A lot of things like that. So that's my success, but like other people are completely different from that.
So let me say this before I get other people's points of views. So I know Soraya personally, and I know for a fact from talking to her and being around her, that's really her mindset. To the other guys, even you too, Soraya, I don't want you guys to think that because you're on this podcast, you can't say what you really want to say, or you have to put on to look good. The whole point of this podcast is to be honest and to really tell how you feel. So Soraya gave her definition of what success is. Obviously, some people's success may be totally different. Some people want to be the most successful rapper. Some people want to be the most successful game maker. I'm not saying that's y'all, but feel free to give your honest and true opinion, because adults can't help you guys become better if you guys can't talk to us freely and express your truth. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. So, Eric, same question. What are your views on the mindsets of the youth and why?
My view is like the kids just try to be adults too soon, and like they try to do adult things before they should, and like they just get caught up for doing the wrong thing when they shouldn't, and then it just leads to a lot of stuff after that.
I got you. That makes sense. So even when somebody have a child has a conversation, because I remember a conversation me and you had, Eric, that you said your mindset, you trying to have a mindset of Martin Luther King, where sometimes you got to challenge authority, you know what I'm saying, to get the point across. You know what I'm saying? Is that kind of, would you put that in the category of kids putting their mindsets of an adult, or just no, I'm just asking. I'm not blaming that. I'm just saying, like, do you feel like that's a kid putting themselves in the place of adult, or a kid just, you know, not say challenging authority, but questioning authority to the point of trying to get understanding?
Yeah, it's like my opinion. I think like we all kind of equal in sort of a way. Like I can't feel like you better than me just because you older than me. So like, so it's like you just not gonna kind of like try to little man me because
okay,
because like you are way older than me. So it's like I can't like, and then I feel like I should get the same respect as somebody that's older than me. But like nowadays it's just like I don't know.
Can
Nah,
I
you said it good. You said it real good.
can I ask you that?
Go ahead, Sarai.
Eric, I used to struggle with that, and my mom's on here, she'll comment and tell you. I struggled with that as a little girl very much because I felt like even though yes I was little, I still had a voice, I still had an opinion, and that like contributes to the way that I want to raise my kids. And even in the Black community, I think it's really highlighted that like when a kid has an opinion, depending on the parent, I won't say the entire Black community, but it's very popular in the Black community that kids are not supposed to have an opinion. You're supposed to just kind of like take what it is, you know, do what I say, don't ask questions. And I was fortunate enough to grow up with parents who allowed me to be so vocal, but I definitely see where you're coming from. Like even when you're young, you kind of just expected to like sit back and go with the flow, not really ask any questions, not really question authority. And sometimes it's not even really questioning authority. It's just you're trying to get an understanding of like why you're doing something or where this came about. Like, you know, and it's not popular, especially in the Black community, to ask questions of like your elders and stuff like that. And I feel like that would definitely help if it was more vocalized that we're able to ask questions and it's not seen as disrespectful.
I got you. Okay. I see y'all with a little team up right there. I'll watch y'all too, all right? Messiah, what's your viewpoint, boss man? Then we'll get to the adults.
Man, I feel like everybody like they got like their own mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody got like that. They got like their own mindset. You know, like they can only like control their own mindset. Like Eric say, like certain ages, you know, like I can't mess with them. Like they like a certain age, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't like people mindset these days. Like I really like don't like understand it. Like it don't make no sense. Like and you be thinking like some of the older kids like they mindset is like more like mature, but like you'll think that, but like whole time like they mindsets be like like kind of like 10, 12.
So you saying the age there'll be a certain age or higher, but their mindset would be like a 10 or 12-year-old level. Like it'll be a teenager, but they'll still be thinking like a 10 or 12-year-old.
They could be like,
got somebody in my class, right?
Yeah.
Right, like that.
All right.
Like
So it's an immaturity thing.
Yes.
Be like 16 and still act like a 10, 12-year-old. Like,
well, you know, I've dealt with that a lot, so y'all know that. Okay, cool. I like that. I like the immaturity mindset. So, Fenton, what you got to say on that? What's your mindset of the youth today, and why you think it's like that? What you think? What's your mindset of the youth today? I should say.
Well, so hot take, I guess. I personally don't think the mindset of the young people is as lost as people think it is, right? Okay. There's been a lot of talk about how this generation's mindset is all jacked up and they're so crazy and they don't know nothing from nothing and all that kind of stuff. And the reality is I've run into some youth that really got some strong heads on their shoulders. In fact, I've run into some youth that are even more conscious or woke than adults. So I would say that I think it's a misinterpretation or it's a misunderstanding to say that this generation has a broken mindset. I think that the things that they value is different than the things that we value. I think the things that are prioritized in their minds coming up and what they've been, taught and fed on and the way they're raised has been different. So their priorities are different. And the reality is that some of them are not, are not ideal. That's true. Yeah. But I also know on the flip side, they are more aware in other areas that our generation is like, yo, I didn't even realize you were even thinking about that. I would have never even thought about that at your age. So I think when we talk about their mindset, I think that their mindset is different. And I think that their value is different and their priorities are different. And I think that if we as adults can get a better understanding of that, we'll be able to better shape that generation into the direction and point them in the direction that they need to go. And when we talk later, I mean, there's more, on where that came about and what that looks like. But I just think their mindset is more just, I mean, they think differently than we do. They don't think about, and one thing is, I will say, they don't really think about necessarily like the future like we did. Like we think about the future, like, what's your 5 and 10 year plan and Mm-hmm. But a lot of them, they think more like, look, I got to figure out what I'm going to do today. I got to figure out what I'm doing. I got to figure out how I'm going to get through school today, because they have a lot of, they just have a lot of different ways they process information. So I just think that it's a learning curve. It's a process. Technology has played a big role in that, and we'll talk about that later. But, I would say their mindset is definitely different, and they do prioritize some things that I do not agree with. However, I don't think they are as broken in their mindset as people think they are.
And you know what? You said something. You said that back when we were young, our mindset was more focused on, we were told like, what's your 5-year, 10-year plan and stuff like that. And we were, if I could speak from my personal standpoint, as somebody who's made a lot of mistakes and used my mistakes to try to get the youth to say, hey, I've done this before. I'm not trying to watch you do the same thing. Those seeds were planted back in the day. What's your 5-year plan, 10-year plan? So now we find ourselves I find myself trying to impart that in the youth today. But like you said, they're worried about, hey, what I'm going to do today, how I'm going to eat, what I'm going to do after I get out of school, you know what I'm saying? Who I'm going to hop on and log on with Fortnite tonight and stuff like that and everything. And I'm trying to plug that to them because I didn't take advantage of that, not realizing I'm not meeting them where they're at. You know what I'm saying? I'm not meeting them where their mind frames are at today. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pushing. And it's kind of like, okay, Mr. Horn, you kind of annoying me and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even thinking about that right now. You feel me?
I know Grayson's got to say something too, but I was thinking about something you just said. It just made me think about it. The other thing is, I will say that one could argue that some of their mindset could fall into a little superficiality. I mean, that is something that has hit, and unfortunately, it has caused a whole shift in the generation. But the other side of it is when we talk about like their future plans and thinking like that, I think the other side of it is that they don't think about the future the same from a career perspective, from a lifestyle perspective, like from any of those things. Like the whole perspective is different because think about this. They have been raised in a generation where everything they want happens almost immediately. Like they live in a very microwave generation. So that changes the way that I think about the future. I expect what I want right now. You know what I'm saying? And Sarai made a good point, and Eric made a good point about it. They've been allowed to say what they want and operate as equals. There was no separation between adults and children, and they've been allowed to say what they want, think how they want, do what they want. So that plays a big role in how they shape their perspective. So just something to think about.
Gotcha. Good insight. Real good insight. Grayson, what you got to say, man? I know you got a lot. You've been hearing all these opinions and stuff. I know you got a lot to piggyback on. What's up, man?
I think that having the understanding of being older and looking back at what's actually taking place, they are going to be subject to the information that's readily available to them. And that's what they base their knowledge on. They base it on what they know. The young man was saying that he felt equal to an adult. And that's part of the narrative of the world today. And what that truly does is it causes division. When everybody has their own opinion, there can never be any unity. So one of the things that's happening in society is there's no unity because there's no trust, because your opinion is different from my opinion. So how can you truly grow a group of people? How can you re-engage a community if nobody trusts each other and everybody has their own opinion? When we grew up, no matter what it was, the neighborhood was the family. And everybody in the neighborhood had influence on you. And there was never any more than understanding that someone's experience was relevant and valuable to you. It didn't have to be exact. It didn't have to be the same. What's happened today is young people, and I have 4 kids, they want to almost neglect your experience as if it has no value and if it has no meaning. So there's no way that you can truly have good conversation to move them forward if they have no respect for what you're saying. I think they don't believe to the fullness that there is trust in our love, meaning that what I'm telling you is out of love. It's not to keep you from being anywhere. It's not to keep you from doing anything. It's to guide you in a direction so that you don't have to do some of the things that we had to go through. So when I look historically at what happened prior to my life, all those things, understanding them and hearing them, whether I agreed with them or not, they had an influence on what I was doing because now I could measure from someone else. The Bible says that he who counsels with himself is unwise. And what I find with young people doing today, they're counseling with themselves. They're talking to themselves and answering their own questions and finding people that will sign off on how they believe. The real essence of becoming successful is finding people who don't agree with you. Growing up and playing basketball, if I only played against people I was better than, I wasn't going to get any better. You know what I did? I wouldn't go knock my heads with guys that were 4 and 5 years older than me. Why? They had game. They had a different approach to where I wanted to get to. So I didn't discount who they were or what they did. And what I see in today's youth is the encouragement of their own thoughts almost gets them away from having influence from other people. Because if it doesn't line up, especially if it's not an emotional connection.
Right.
Guidance doesn't come emotional. But this generation is very, very focused on how they feel. And I've tried to share with people all the time, feelings aren't facts. And just because you feel it doesn't make it true. But when it's reinforced in society that how you feel is how things are, it really doesn't bode well for the next generation to be able to really see what's there. Because as they've alluded to, their information is immediate. It is rarely ever vetted. Whatever they pull up on Google is the truth. Whatever they see on TikTok is real. They don't take the time to vet it. So a lot of things that they buy into emotionally, I ask kids all the time, are you willing to be wrong about that? Because a lot of what they're getting is misinformation and it's guided by emotion. And emotion will always supersede critical thinking. And I think one of the things that the youth aren't doing today as well as they could is critically think. They have an opinion, but oftentimes it isn't based on critical thinking. It's based on emotion.
Right. You said something earlier that kind of hit me. You said that I'm paraphrasing, so I could be saying this wrong, but you said something in the gist of, the youth are used to receiving instant gratification, so they kind of, I guess, decline and push off our experiences like they didn't happen, like we don't understand and stuff like that. That's a big thing. Even working with the school and working in youth ministry and working in the youth prisons and stuff like that, I hear a lot of youth in the mindset of, Mr. Horne, you know what you're talking about. You don't understand what I'm going through. You ain't been there, not realizing that we have. And I tell kids all the time, been working with kids for like 7 years now. And I tell the kids that y'all gotta understand, though the generation and the times and the what we're susceptible to, like the internet and stuff like social media, that doesn't change the fact that the experiences are still the same. And like y'all heard the phrase, there ain't nothing new under the sun. Everything y'all done, even from the shoes y'all wear. Y'all think Air Force Ones and Jordans just came out, and y'all know we've been had all them colors and all them styles and everything. They just recycled stuff. So everything's recycled. So I think it's kind of hard because of what Grayson just said. It is kind of hard to reach the youth because they do kind of bypass and put off like we don't understand the experiences they're going through. And some things are different. I will acknowledge that. Some things are different because, like I said, we didn't have internet. We didn't care about internet because y'all know when we tried to get internet back in the day, we had it took us 20 minutes to even log onto the internet, stuff like that. But so we just did telephones and notes and all that stuff and everything. We were more in person. But now social media has such a big impact amongst other things. And with that being said, let's go ahead and go to the next thing. What factors do you think have the biggest impact on the lives of our youth? Because to me, social media is a big one. Social media, if not the biggest one, is for sure a big one. Social media, and if I had to piggyback on it, I think I've done a lot of pre-recorded podcasts, and I've been on other people's podcasts. And one thing I see, even in the workplace I'm in, the parenting has a lot to do with it too. The parenting and social media are the biggest two factors that have the biggest impact on our youth, whether it be positive or negative. So this time I'm gonna switch it up and go with the adults and get their insight first on what impacts the youth. Then I'm gonna come back to the kids. All right. So Grayson, since you went last, I'm gonna let you go first. What factors do you think impact the youth the most?
Well, I think that you've alluded to, and I think everybody's alluded to the obvious one, which is social media. But I think the even bigger one that affects the youth today is the lack of understanding history. I think that I knew who I was going to become based on what challenges were there for me to overcome. I think understanding history is a big piece of really having an effect on them, because they think their history is what they know. I'll give an example. When you look at historical athletes, right? If you ask a young kid today who the greatest of all time was, and I'll use basketball, he'll say LeBron James. Right? But if you ask LeBron James, he would say Michael Jordan.
That's right.
So
right.
there's a time where they only base their history on what they've been exposed to. So that allows them or disallows them to really have a big picture of understanding. I think the way to come through success is understanding where things came from. The young lady talked about being successful and her success heading into the medical field, and she has a basis for that. But in 1894, 96% of America was self-employed. If we really understand where we were from an opportunity standpoint and why things change, it would transition you better into how you can effectively do the things that you do today. But if we only know or only believe that oppression is the opposition of success, then this is all I have to value on. And if I don't want to do that, then I have to do this. So I think those things in and of themselves factor in more than we want to. The other thing, obviously, T, is you said parenting, but it's obviously the absence of fathers in many homes. 85% of the kids today grown up in a fatherless home. And it is actually statistically true that if a father's presence is in the home, there's less deviant behavior, just his presence. And there's a lot of reasons that that's not the case. But I think those things have a greater impact than we actually want to acknowledge at times. I think we want to just throw everybody as social media's fault. Well, at the end of the day, you still have the opportunity to parent, and you still have the opportunity to give some parameters, control, or some suggestions on how this thing should be done. I told my kids a long time ago, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent. And I think a lot of this generation, because of some of the family situations, young people have become their parents' friend. They become their confidant. They become their trusted voice. And when you cross lines of maturity in conversation, now a 13-year-old who's hearing a 42-year-old's problems makes him feel on the same level. And so I think those are some of the things that stand out for me when I look at the kids that I work with, the families that I deal with, and some of the things that they bring to me to talk to, address, and work out. Those are the three I think that are most relevant for me.
So to piggyback on what you just said, you said two things that really caught my attention. The first one was knowing the history. So just working in the school system and working with the company I work for and stuff like that, you know, when it comes to Black History Month, I work with majority African-American kids. And what I come to realize is that not only are the kids not, you know, studying their history or understanding their history, they don't even know their history. There are people who you can name like Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass or Malcolm X. Like this school year, a lot of kids heard the name, they didn't know anything about Malcolm X. Nothing. You had to show them a movie and give them a lesson to get them to understand what Malcolm X, who he was, what he's done and stuff like that and everything. And the whole time they watching the movie with me and another associate, and they're like, dang, we didn't know that. We know nothing about that. But here you are in middle school. We knew about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X back when we was in like first and second grade. It was like common knowledge, you know? And another thing you said that caught my attention was, and it really hit me hard, was the fact of parents being their kids' friends. And when you're somebody's friend, you allow certain things to go on and don't check certain situations. And that's the big problem I have. Even these kids, all three of these kids on this podcast right now can tell you where, you know, I be a cool guy sometimes, but sometimes I get really strict. And one of the men that I tell them, like, hold up, don't get it twisted. I'm not your friend. I'm not your homeboy. You know what I'm saying? There's a line you can't cross. We can joke around and everything, but when you start going too far, that's not gonna draw the line. And I think, like you said, a lot of parents aren't doing that today, drawing that line. Because yes, your kid should be able to look at you as a confidant and feel comfortable with you, but not to the point where they're just, you know, just doing anything and being grown and all that stuff. But I'm not gonna harp on that. I know we got other opinions to hear. Fenton, what factors do you think have the biggest impacts on our youth today?
Well, I can tell you that, you guys just said, I mean, you guys pretty much kind of laid out a lot of the foundational stuff. I mean, social media, I think history is important. I think critical thinking you mentioned earlier is a huge one that the feelings thing, man, let me tell you that right there, like they say, emotions make good servants, but terrible masters. And I think what happens is that, I 100% agree that this generation, I think one of the biggest challenges is they've been convinced that what they feel is true. Mm-hmm. And like I wrote this down a long time ago, was like the fact that you're feeling does not mean what you're feeling is fact. And what you have to understand is that regardless of, you could teach history all day, you could have all the systems in place, the opportunities in place, but if I operate only solely on how I feel at the moment, I will never be successful. Your emotions will drive you to destruction, regardless of, they could lay out the red carpet for your success, but if you act on how you feel, you're toast, right? But I want to throw out a kind of a curveball that I think impacts our youth, that kind of piggybacks a little bit off the parents being friends, because I think one thing that really hurts us is we have a cultural issue, and it's not just, and the cultural issue is not just like, oh, we like this stuff and we promote. No. Here's the issue that I see. One of the biggest things that hurts our youth is this misunderstanding and twisting of what love is. We have confused love with affirmation. And so we think that if I love you, or they have been convinced that someone who agrees with them loves them, and people who disagree with them don't love them. Yeah. And if that becomes your guide, you are going to run into a whole lot of problems, because the truth is, it's quite the opposite. People who love you will tell you the truth. People who don't love you will let you walk right off that cliff. As we spend our time teaching these kids that, oh, anybody who agrees with me, like you said, Grayson, they get a bunch of people who agree with their thought process and all that kind of stuff. This when you tell them something that goes against how they feel at the moment, it hits them with this cognitive dissonance, and all of a sudden they go crazy, because they're like, how dare you tell me I'm wrong? Right. If that's the case, you don't love me.
Absolutely.
So that's why you get the teachers. Oh, this teacher don't like me because she's telling me she always on my case. Well, the teacher actually that's on your case is typically the one that loves you.
Right.
It goes with your friends. It goes with your family, your parents, anybody who's in your life that just agrees with everything you do and agrees with all your decisions. And they get this twisted idea that, oh, that means they loyal. Oh, that means they with me, they got my back. But somebody who really truly loves you is gonna tell you the truth.
Absolutely.
Because I heard a quote by what's his name, Inky Johnson, and he said, "Truth without love is brutality, but love without truth is hypocrisy." And I think that's our youth more than anything else, on top of all the other things. If I think that if you disagree with me, you tell me I'm wrong, you don't love me, then I will never listen to anything you have to say.
Absolutely.
And that's something that has been going on consistently from the media and all that stuff, conditioning the minds of the people. And we see that in politics and all that. You agree with me, you love me. You disagree, you don't. And that is going to hurt any type of growth.
Absolutely.
Agreed. So let's get the kids in, because we have watch time into the first hour. Messiah, let's go with you first. What factors do you think had the biggest impact on y'all today?
I agree. It's social media, parents. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir. Continue to elaborate. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Like some kids, they don't like grow up with the dad. They don't know like how it is to have like a father figure in life. And then like social media type wise, a lot of stuff be going on. Feel like your parents will tell you one thing, you look on social media, it's something different.
Okay. I like that, because a lot of times you made a good point, because a lot of times parents tell you so much without realizing, like, okay, yeah, I'm telling my kid this, but on the flip side, social media, music, their friends are being told something totally different. And if everything else is saying the opposite of what our parents say, who are they going to believe, the majority or the minority? So I can understand that. That's a good viewpoint you made. Eric, give me some insight, sir. What do you think impacts the youth the most?
Okay, I'm gonna say entertainment, because like the entertainment that they listen to, like rappers like Baby Kia and NBA YoungBoy, and for a lot of kids nowadays, like between 13, like 10, 9, are listening to somebody named Baby Kia, and they calling him like a D1 crash out, and that means like he'll do anything, like he'll just go kill somebody just for no reason, and then yeah. While like they be calling him a D1 crash out and like he a demon child, and then they just like keep listening to him, and then like the guy NBA YoungBoy, like they just like, I guess they see it as entertainment and they see it as cool because other kids listen to him, and like they be like, oh, if you don't listen to him, you lame. Like how you don't listen to him, or how you don't listen to him, or like it's like kids nowadays just try to go with the flow, especially when you don't have that many friends. Like you just trying to look cool in front of somebody else.
So you said something just now that's an impactful thing that you didn't realize you said. You talked about entertainment, but then you talked about the fact of not having friends and wanting to seem cool and wanting to fit in with everybody. So now you're doing things as a youth that you know probably ain't, all the way right, you know what I'm saying? But you're doing it to impress people, to get admiration or affirmation, or feel like you fit in, to feel like you're in the cool crowd. That's a big thing, because like you said, you got one person saying something is cool, and let that one person be a cool person who said it. Now, because that one cool person said it, not everybody wants to say it, not realizing you're just being a follower and not being a leader. And that's one of the biggest things, that the hardest things to preach to kids today, is to be a leader, not a follower. When everything from social media is telling you, hey, follow this person, follow this person, follow this person, subconsciously not even realizing you're being trained to be a follower and not be a leader. This is my insight on that and everything. So, Ryan, go ahead and give me your 2 cents, babe.
I've been dying to talk, y'all. I am a professional rapper. I never shut up. I have so many things to say. But I definitely agree with Mr. Marshall, some of his I guess point of view of it. I think that the parenting definitely plays into it. There's this new thing called gentle parenting, and I think that it takes away, like, it's basically like people feel as though kids have been disciplined too much, and I do agree with it in a certain aspect. I think that sometimes in culture, it's just like hit, and never like really understanding why your child is doing something. But I also do think that discipline is definitely needed. Even in the Bible, God tells us like you need discipline. Without discipline, there's never going to be any structure. And I will say that our generation throws around like this phobia word a lot. Like just because you feel like something is wrong, let's say I say, oh, Messiah, like I don't really like your hoodie. Now I'm colorist. I hate him. I want him to die like that. There's no difference of opinion, even though like I may not agree with what somebody else is saying. It's like now we can't talk at all because I don't agree with what you're saying. And I think,
bro, hey, you hating on my hoodie, so you must not like me. That's why it's that.
They're
like the power in the words. Like you said, you're hating, but you say I hate you. I don't hate you. I just don't dislike what you got going on. That's all.
Yeah, it's like if you disagree with anything in their lifestyle, they feel like we cannot communicate, we can't come together, we can't agree because you don't like this. So why would I like you? And then another thing that there's definitely a spectrum of the youth, and the spectrum is so big because of social media. And there are some youth that take social media to its benefit. They learn the history, because there's some things that I learned on TikTok that I never would have known about. And it's like it just really depends on how you use social media. And it's such a wide spectrum because there's so many different things going on. And I read this article one time. It was saying about how like social media, it truly overwhelms our brain, and it causes us to be overstimulated, because in the span of 10 minutes, I can see somebody talking about their grandma dying. I can see somebody talking about their dog dying. And then I can see that somebody just got a bonus in the span of really 2 minutes, because it's like there's no filter to social media. Like you just post it and everybody can see. And I think people don't realize that. So like they're posting, and your brain is getting overwhelmed with, okay, I'm sad, now I'm angry, now I'm mad, now I'm happy, now I'm kind of sad again. It's like there's this overwhelming like roller coaster of emotions, and our brain really isn't meant to compute all those different emotions in such a short range of time. So I think that also contributes to why we are the way we are, especially what Eric said, like the whole D1 crash out thing. People really praise that because it seems like that type of mentality, like they want what they have. So like, for example, the rapper that he's talking about could be seen as very successful. And oftentimes in our generation, successful is simply equated to money. It doesn't really matter if you're happy or anything like that. As long as you have money, that's what deems you successful. And even
just real quick, I'm just gonna get back out and interject. So with the D1 crash out, that's what y'all call it. That's what his name is, right? One thing I also noticed is that when people see people on social media, certain rappers getting a lot of likes, getting a lot of follows, getting a lot of attention, a lot of kids will follow behind what's going on because they see the attention somebody's getting and they want that attention. They want to fill that void of attention they're not getting. So you end up following the negative behavior to try to get at least a little piece of that same attention, whether it be from mom and dad, whether it be from a girl, whether it be from their homeboys trying to fit in with, maybe acting out in school just to get some attention on them. So I just want to introduce that real quick. But go ahead, continue, sweetie. Go ahead.
Yeah, and another thing that Mr. Marshall had said, the father's not being in the home plays a really point, and that's even from a kid's aspect. There are certain things that I won't do simply because my dad is home, and there's just a security net that, like, like with 2-parent household, it's different from a 2-parent to a 1-parent. Like it persuades the way that you think, and there's just different things. I know my parents, and it's not to say like my mom just lets anything happen, but I know the type of parents that I have, and I know that my dad will allow certain things that my mom won't allow, and my mom will allow certain things. It's certain things that we can talk about with my mom that I can't talk about with my dad. And it's just, that's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think me, one, being a girl is different, and 2, me being like, I think it's just different. And I think that once we put like the 2-parent households back, I feel like that'll change too. I feel like all my friends tell me like, like you're so lucky to grow up in a 2-parent household. My parents, they've been married for 25 years now. So that's just something that I'm used to. I grew up with structure. I grew up with God in my life. I grew up going to church. I've always had that instilled. And so now, like, going away to college to different types of like people where they were raised differently and like their parents allowed certain things that they really shouldn't have, like, I think that is also the problem too. Of course, social media, I feel like everybody knows that. Social media, it allows you open access to way too many things. And I think that there are not enough restrictions, especially for young, because like everybody else has it. The average age that you get a phone now is probably like 10. I know I got my first phone in like elementary school, but I think it was simply because like I had to walk home and stuff. So like my mom wanted that form of communication, but I think access to social media is just too much. And I think that parents sometimes get caught up in, wanting to be a good parent, want to be considered a good mom. Any position that you have, you want to be considered good. You want people to like you. You want people, that's human nature. But I think some parents get caught up in wanting to please their kids too much. And so they allow their kid too much access to things that they shouldn't know, that they shouldn't be like around, or they shouldn't have knowledge of at that age.
That's crazy. You said something. You talking about you first got your phone, you were younger, right? It's crazy how the dynamic is of parents these days. I didn't get my first phone until I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And that was a flip phone. So without no internet access or nothing, you know what I'm saying?
I had access to a phone pretty soon. And I think it's simply because my parents were blessed enough to give me one. And it was more of like a communication thing. But I wasn't allowed to have like Snapchat, Instagram. And even though when I did have those platforms, my mom follows me on all my social media platforms. I'm not allowed. Like, I hear people like, they say like
some people say that's lame. Some people say that's lame. Like, then you can have your own privacy. They'll call you lame because of that.
Yeah, like my mom, she's my friend on everything. Like, she sees everything, and I really do have a good relationship with my mom. I think that plays a part into it. Like, I'm pretty much able to talk about anything with my mom. And there's, like Mr. Marshall was saying, there is a difference in being like a friend and being confident. There are certain things that I know I can talk to my mom about anything, but there are certain things that I'm never going to say to my mom simply because that's my mom. And I think that's gotten taken away from our our generation because of social media. It puts on like, well, you're just as, you're the same as your parent. I personally don't believe that. I feel like, yes, kids are, we're earned respect and we're earned to be treated like a person. But at the same time, you're still a kid. You don't know everything that you're going to know. And that's not a bad thing. Like Eric was saying, kids want to grow up so fast and there's really no need to. So yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off, sweetie, but we are coming up to a break. Let me say this one, because I know Grayson, I saw him. I know he had something to say. So when we get back, piggyback what he had to say. But I just want to say, Soraya, I'm so proud of you. Y'all understand when you work with these, y'all do understand when y'all work with these kids and then you see them grow up and see them the things they say and how they come up, and you see that positivity and that positive influence on it. It makes you feel good. It feels like you had some kind of impact in their lives. I would say I'm so proud of Soraya. But we're gonna take a break real quick because we all need to refresh. We got some more things to talk about. So just give us a couple minutes. We'll be right back, guys. See you soon.
To everybody in their respective places, as he said, I go by Clarence Eagle Williams. I'm actually from Gainesville, Florida, home of the Florida Gators. If you ain't know, yeah, stop playing. And it's just such a blessing and an honor to be in the house of God. So I came all the way from Gainesville just to share my music ministry with you guys, amen. But before I do that, I just wanted to say the Word of God says that if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek his face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sins, and I will heal their land. And I say this because in Gainesville, I'm actually a firefighter for the city of Gainesville. And so many times, man, I'm tired of seeing so many young people lose their lives to senseless gun violence, to senseless foolishness, when the church seems like they're not doing anything about it. It seems like there's a lacking, in the house of God. A lot of times, sometimes you even see the same thing that's going on in the world in the church. And it's time for us to turn back to God. It's time for us to be serious with God. It's time for us to get back to praying. It's time for us to get back to fasting and seeking the face of God. Because at the end of the day, you can put stuff in front of them, but it's going to take a praying church. It's going to take churches coming together to save these babies, to save these youth. We can put on programs all we want. We can have youth conferences and all that. But if we're not seeking the face of God, if we're not praying, if we're not fasting, then our works are going to be in vain. And sometimes we have to get to the point where we sick and tired of being tired. And sometimes it's getting to the point to where it's like, oh, well, that's just another person that died. Oh, there go another person. No, these are actual kids. These are actual children. These are actually babies that are losing their lives, that may not even know or have a relationship with God. And we have to get back to a church where we stop focusing on just the four walls of the church, but get back to getting out into the community and going outside the four walls of the church. Because he said that he compelled us to go to the highways and byways and compel them to come. Amen. So we have to get back to that. And I've been everywhere I go now, I minister this because it breaks my heart to constantly, every single time I go to work, I'm working a 12-year-old or seeing another young person going to jail. So it's time for us to be about our Father's business. Amen.
Hey folks, well, I got one more testimony I want to share with you. Identity theft. Look, I know a lot of people have a lot of programs out there, but our program goes a lot further than most. See, most people think identity theft, they think of credit. Credit is the easiest thing you can solve. But you got to ask yourself is, what else are they not telling me? I'm going to tell you what they're not telling you. It's called criminal identity theft. We had a young lady who was going to apply for a college loan. She said, sir, when I was 18, I'm 19 now, I went to go apply for a loan. And they told me I had 2 cars, a house, and a boat in my name. And they told me they denied me. I had to get it fixed. She spent countless hours. I don't know how much money she spent on an attorney, but had she had our services, she would have been notified immediately, right? That's on that side. Then you come talk about character and criminal. I know a gentleman that went to jail twice last year. Now he's thinking, hey, the cops are going to solve it. They're going to take care of it. It's going to be easy. Everything's going to be good to go. He thought he was just going down there for 3 hours. That means he spent 3 days. 3 days in jail for a crime he didn't commit while the cops decided to solve it. See, had he had our services, he would have been provided with a licensed private investigator. They would have had to sign a limited power of attorney. And then at that point, they would have went to work on his behalf where he wouldn't had to have dealt with that. And because he had the legal plan, the attorneys went and got his name cleared in a matter of 3 weeks, when it normally takes 2 years to clear up. I'm just sharing with you, our services makes a world of a difference. You don't have to feel vulnerable. And we're ranked #1 by Forbes several years in a row. So if you're going to get something, you're going to spend your money, let's work with the best. With that being said, I appreciate y'all for listening to me.
If you or someone you know needs help coping with depression, anxiety, or PTSD, overcoming low self-esteem, or managing major life transitions, we invite you to schedule a free consultation call for telehealth clients. Shekinah Downs, licensed clinical social worker, is now accepting new telehealth clients. In the office, too. Schedule a free consultation by calling 386-385-4483. That's 386-385-4483. In the brand new Daytona Beach office as well. 50 to 60-minute individual therapy sessions and a variety of insurance plans are accepted. Couples therapy and coaching is coming soon. We invite you to log on to cjaqis.com. Schedule a free consultation by calling 386-385-4483. That's 386-385-4483. Angie B presents a book signing and meet and greet. Join us Saturday, April 27th, 2024 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Best Western Plus in Kingsland, Georgia. Admission for attendees is free. Pre-order your lunch for only $15. Shop with vendors, purchase books and audiobooks. Participate in our many writing workshops, enjoy networking, and so much more. A book signing and meet and greet takes place Saturday, April 27th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 1375 Hospitality Avenue, Kingsland, Georgia. For vendor registration, call 407-914-6519. That's 407-914-6519. We look forward to seeing you there.
Don't judge me until you know me. Don't underestimate me until you challenge me. And don't talk about me until you talk to me. Or better yet, mind your business and stop minding mine.
Yeah, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Conversations with T-Horne da Uncool, yours truly. And today's topic is the downfall of today's youth. Now, we've had some people come in this thing and give some good insight from the adults, educators, motivational speakers, to the children themselves. And I gotta say, I'm really impressed because the kids are giving some real good insight. But I mean, what can you expect? If you're talking about the youth, who better to talk about the youth than the youth themselves? So with that being said, let's bring all the guests back. If we could. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I've got two. Missing three. Eric, welcome back. Messiah, welcome back. Mr. Grayson, welcome back. Let's see if we can get everybody in. Everybody ready? Okay, I'm pretty sure guys will populate in as we go. So we'll start with you guys. We had two questions come across the screen that we weren't able to address because we were so into the conversation we were having. So real quick, before we get started on the 4 topics, let's go ahead and address those two questions right quick that came in from the viewers. The first one is, if we can get on the screen. Oh, we got people populating in. Hold on. Hey, Soraya, welcome back, sweetie. We got one more. Is Fenton gonna pop up on the screen or the question gonna pop up? Which one? I'm good with either one of them. So we're just waiting. With that being said, let's not wait too long. The question will pop up in a little bit. Let's go ahead and hit conversation starting number 3. So the third one we want to talk about was, and it's real quick. It can be real quick. We got to kind of speed through. Who do you guys blame for the current state of our youth and why? Let's start with Eric. I know you want to go. I see that hand popping up, boss. Go ahead.
Okay, so like the big, cause like I kind of talked about this in like the first half, but I kind of blame some of the entertainment because it's a lot of entertainment that these kids consume and they really don't know how to handle it, and it's like it's way too much. And then like the guys that they listen to, it's like they just motivate them to do the wrong thing.
Okay, good insight. Messiah, you want to piggyback on that with your opinion on the topic? Who you blame for the current state of our youth and why?
I agree with Eric. Like entertainment. Like people, they look into like entertainment.
Soraya? You thinking hard about it, huh?
Yeah, I feel like there's no one person to blame or there's no one thing. I really think it's a combination of things. I feel like not necessarily who, but what. I feel like our entertainment industry, like Eric and Messiah were saying, I feel like there's no balance. Like we don't know how to balance things out. And I think it's either we're trying to be like, we put our all into one thing. And I think it stems from, I know somebody has commented something about like many people, like many of our parents grew up in a strict generation, and our generation, we're trying so hard not to be like the other generation that we're not taking, like Mr. Marshall said, we're not taking anything that they did like for good. Like there are some things that adults say and I'll be like, you know what, like they have a point. And I think that people forget that yes, our times are extremely different. There are certain things that we go through that our parents never had to endure, never had to go through. Not to say our life is just so hard and we just have so many troubles, because we really don't. We really are like a pretty good off generation, but I think that we get so distracted in trying to be so different from like past generations because we, like I said, there's a spectrum of us that like we know the history, we've seen it, and we're trying to be so different that we become almost detached from the history instead of taking the good out and, you know, leaving what we can't really use. I think that's a big problem for us. And I also think entertainment, social media, it really plays a big part in it. Parents, I think it's a combination of things. The lack of God in our society. I think people, there's no like structure, there's no backbone. And so people are kind of just trying to go with the flow, trying to figure out what works for them instead of thinking about, like you said, T-Horne, our generation is very instant gratification. Even though I struggle with that sometimes, I fail to realize, like with the career that I have, it's going to take a lot of time and effort to put into in society. They want to know like what's going to get me the most amount of benefit right now. They don't think about, okay, well, yeah, I may not be benefiting right now, but 5 to 10 years down the line, I will. Some people don't think about it simply because they don't think it's important. Some people don't feel like they're going to live that long. Some people feel like, you know, that it's not, that's tomorrow. Like, that's not for me to worry about right now. And me, I'm the polar opposite because I'm a planner. That's just my personality. I like to know every single little detail that like my day entails. But some people, they're okay with going with the flow. You know, I'm just going to see where the wind blows me, see where it takes me. And I think that also plays a part into like what's gone wrong in our society.
Okay, real quick, Fenton, Grayson, I know you guys have some insight on that, and I'm gonna get back to you guys, but I want to take time to make sure we're acknowledging the viewers too. They had some questions they wanted to ask. So one of the questions that popped up, and I think I was gonna have the kids answer this one because, you know, well, I say everybody can answer it because we all have had siblings and stuff like that. Do older kids try to reign in the younger kids today? Like, do they try to reign over them, or they try to take charge? What are y'all views on that? Actually, let's start with Fenton and Grayson first. Give us an insight. How you guys feel about the older kids reigning over the younger kids?
Which me?
Yes, sir. You go.
Which one of us first? Go ahead, Grayson.
Go ahead, Grayson.
I think that there's some truth to that because I think the older kids are who they're looking to for affirmation and I don't think they want to be like their parents. You know, there was a time where wanting to be like your father or your grandfather was something that young people aspired to. Now they don't. They want to be like the guy that's 17 or 18 that seemingly has all of what they feel like they're able to get in the next few years. So I don't think it's raining in. I think there is an intentional mindset to deviate young people from a bigger picture of where their future could be. And as Samaya said, their future is right now. So they're looking at, if I'm 13, I'm looking at somebody 17, I feel like I'm real close to doing that, right? But if I'm looking at somebody who's in their 40s or 50s, that seems like so far away. I don't want to wait for that.
That's
so
good.
I think the influence of controlling the minds of young people is no longer responsible by the parents. It used to be. I think it's the people they identify with, and that's where it is. So yeah, I do think they're reining them in. Now, do I think it's a personal reign? No, but I think it's now the new model that's out there, and I think it's what separates them from truly getting some real good, factful information is how to live their lives.
Messiah, I'm trying to do adult kid. Messiah, how you feel about that? Do you feel like older kids try to reign younger kids today?
You mean like?
So if I had to explain, like, actually, you're a good example. So, like I said, these are all kids that I worked with in the past and work with currently. And if I could speak on Messiah for a second, Messiah has peers in his class that are friends, and he's talked to me multiple times about trying to show them the right thing to do and trying to be a leader in certain aspects. The question is, the same way you try to be a leader and rein in your friends, do older kids try to do the same things with younger kids today?
So like show leadership?
Show leadership, show them the right way, even if it's doing the wrong thing. Do you feel like they try to bring kids in, bring somebody under your wing type deal? That makes sense?
Yeah, but I don't think like older kids like these days. Like I don't think they like do that. But I don't think like older kids they'll like do it. They be like they have like their own mind. They don't feel like us younger kids don't have to like be like we just like dust to.
So you're saying they don't really care? It's like they doing their own thing and y'all just do what y'all do type deal.
Like we like on our own right now. You gotta look like people. Some people might. Us younger people don't look up to somebody. Not them team.
Hold on, Messiah, hold on. Pause for a second. Because your mic going in and out. You might need to come closer to the mic. Okay, we'll get him and bring it back. Eric, give me your insight on it. We'll get Messiah when he gets back. He's having problems with his mic. But go ahead.
What was the question? Oh, in certain cases, like older kids try to do that in certain cases, but it depends on who it is. It could be like your big brother and he try to show you the way, or it could be one of your friends like, oh bro, let's go hang with us, we finna go do this, do that. But it might seem cool, and then like you might end up in some stuff because like you thought that was cool, and like the older kids doing it, so of course you're gonna want to do it.
So you feel like the older kids do it, but they do it in a negative way? Is that what you're saying?
Like the kids, like the younger kids, they try to follow like the older kids because the younger kids think what the older kids is doing is like cool, kind of like smoking, like when you well in certain cases when people younger, like they might think smoking is cool because all the older kids doing it, so then they want to go experience what the older kids doing, so they might go over there and smoke with the older kids, and then like that's how I kind of feel like in certain cases it could be like that.
So if I could elaborate, it's not more of the thing of older kids reining younger kids in, is that just the older kids set the example and younger kids want to follow it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna move to our second question. I'm gonna get Fenton and Soraya on this one. The second question is, why are people having babies and not getting married? I think it's more towards the youth of the generation because there's a lot of babies being born out of wedlock and stuff like that, and a lot of teen moms and young fathers and stuff like that. So Ryan, what's your input on why people are having young people having babies and not getting married?
I think it's a mixture of things. One, God has been taking out the conversation very often because people are so afraid of that phobia word getting thrown around. I swear, y'all, they add a new phobia every day. Like you sell, like it's very hard to voice your opinion sometimes if it's not what everybody else is saying. And so I think marriage just isn't seen as important as it was like back in the day. Like back in the day, men were taught, it goes back to the fathers being in the house. You know, you grow up, you get a job, you find a wife, provide for your wife. Those types of teachings are not being passed down as much. Now in our generation, men are most likely trying to just get more money, get more, it's more glamorized to not be married than to be married. People also don't realize how hard having children is until they're in it. I was lucky enough to have 4 sisters and 3 of them have kids. So I've been exposed to how having a kid is so hard, figuring out even the small things, transportation every day. I've been exposed to that, so I know I want no dealings with it.
So you saw your sisters, you was like, not me.
I think sisters struggle, and I seen what they had to go through with having kids young and not having that person to fall back on. So it taught me, like, I'm good. I want no parts in that. Like, I'm good. So for me, it's like, it's a no-brainer. And it's just the way that I was raised. I think that my goal is to be married before I have kids. But, things happen. I think part of it is, like, marriage is not, it's not highlighted like it should be. It's not taken as seriously as it should be. It's like a different spectrum. Some people get married for the wrong reasons, and then they're just like, you know what, I can just get divorced, no biggie. I think divorce is like really a weird thing that like people just throw away, and like people are willing. Another thing in relationships, people don't realize that just like you have flaws, they have flaws too. You're never going to find, we're so busy trying to find like the perfect person, the perfect man, everything has to be perfect. And people don't realize within relationships, even in those long-term ones, marriages that have been 20, 25 years, they'll tell you, like
me and my wife, we went through it because like you're with one person, you're gonna argue, all of that. I think our youth is just really, if you're not doing what you need, if what they need you to do, they'll leave. Like with Swifties, they don't stick around, they don't stay around. And I think there's just no balance. There's no balance to it. So yeah.
If I could interject on that for 1 second, because the fitness isn't here, he has to wait for him to pop back on. But I was talking to somebody the other day. I forgot who it was, but they said something that really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. So a lot of, and it probably was on the podcast, I'm not sure, but a lot of Black fathers are being blamed for not staying with the mom and not being in their kids' lives and this and that. But you really gotta take time to think about when these sexual acts or this intimacy between this young man and this young woman was happening. What was the mindset? It was never the mindset of, hey, I want to be, with this girl in a relationship. Hey, I think this girl's great. I want to marry her. In today's day and age, a boy gonna see a girl and think she fine and be like, dang, she look good. Her hips are looking like this, her chest looking like this, her booty looking like this. She pretty in the face. She walk a certain way. Dang, I just want to hit that real quick. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, we were taught to court and talk to a female and gain her interest and stuff like that and everything. So with the mindset of, hey, I just want to have sex with this girl, or even the vice versa with the girls. If a girl's gonna let a boy and see things she feels like about him, it's like, dang, I just want to have sex with them, not taking into consideration the consequences of that action. Like, hey, I might get an STD, or hey, I might get this girl pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And with going in that mindset, and that's why it's very important to push the whole, even though I didn't do it, because I can talk about that all day as being a young man, but I think it's important to push the waiting till marriage, or at least having sex with someone who you feel like you have a confident relationship with, you build a bond with. Because when you go around just having sex with people because of how they look or because you think they can do for you, then when that person gets pregnant, you still have that same mindset. Well, oh, she pregnant? I was just trying to hit it and quit it that one time. I'm not going to sit here and have a whole relationship and have a baby with this girl, stuff like that and everything. And I think that's one of the things that produced the whole absent father thing, because the mindset at first is, I just want to hit it real quick and then go talk to my homeboys about it and have these little memories and stuff like that and everything. Or the same thing with the girls. Oh, girl, he was fine. I just let him hit it this one time. I didn't expect this to happen. So you got that mindset of it's a one-time thing, then something happens that's a whole lifetime thing. Your mind, your spirit is naturally going to rebel against it. So I think that solves a lot of issues with, because why people don't stay around, why people not get married, because they never had that mindset in the first place. They go off their body, they go off how pretty they is, they go off their dress code, they go off how much money they got, and they make these decisions, these in the moment decisions, not realizing there's long-term effects behind it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, another thing too, casual sex and like one night stand culture has been very glamorized in our society. People don't realize that, my personal beliefs, when you have sex with somebody, you're sharing a piece of yourself, and they don't realize like each person that you're doing this with is like going to add up. People don't think like, they don't realize how common STD rates are. They don't realize how easy it really is to get pregnant. Like, they don't realize, no one thinks about their consequences of their actions, because we've really never had to experience real consequences behind our actions, because we don't see, like, most times you can get out of something, or you get, especially when you're young, you definitely have not seen the true consequences of your actions, and you haven't learned, like, in the real world, like, you're going to have consequences, and some people are sheltered from it, so they don't realize, like, oh, when I'm having sex, there is a chance that I could have a child, and with this said child, I will, be able, I'll have a lifelong term consequence. And another thing, people for some odd reason use abortion as like birthright, like birth control. Like, they'll be like, oh, even if that does happen, like, I'll just go have an abortion. I think we've been desensitized to abortions, and so most people, like, they're just kind of like, I'll deal with my consequences later. They don't think about, that there's a whole nother human being in the equation.
That's good insight, sweetie. Fitting, real quick, let's move on to our next topic, and I think you can get some real good insight on this. How do you think the future looks considering the ways our youth are coming up now? I want to start with you. I know you deal with a lot of youth with your profession and even with doing poetry and music and stuff like that. You can probably have some good insight on that topic.
Okay, yeah. I mean, and let me first caveat, let me start by saying if I go in and out or whatever case is, I'm having some technical issues over here. I'm not really sure what's going on. So
you're good, bro. We positive. We humbly wait for you to come back. You're good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hey, let me tell you, you know, I told a group of students this a while ago. Personally, I think the future is bright.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because we are having conversations like this right now, because we have an opportunity to be able to see the issues and challenges that face us with the youth. Is that you have young people in front of us who are got their minds together, who are focused, who are learning, who are willing to hear these sides of things. I think that although the culture and society and the systems
the freeze
are I'm freezing.
You fuzz up fit and continue.
Yeah. I would say that although the system and society is absolutely targeting our youth and is trying to corrupt their minds, and there is an agenda put in place to destroy this generation. But the reality is that society is made of what? Society is made of people. And we have the ability to be able to take the society by the reins. These young people, I can tell you right now, just as many young people as you see all crazy and doing all this wild stuff, I have seen in the last couple of years, young people leading revivals. I've seen young people leading movements. Young people are more active in doing the things that they are passionate about than they've been in a long time. Our goal and our job now is to give them the truth to support what they're trying to do. So when you say that the generation, how do I see the future? Listen, you're talking about a generation that has more access to information, more access to resources, more access to anything they've ever had in history. I mean, so yeah, the reality is that access is a blessing and a curse, because on one side, they have access to a whole lot of stuff that we didn't have before. But they also have access to a lot of stuff that we don't have before. I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, how many of these kids right now are leading whole movements online, just through TikTok, just through social media. I mean, you got kids who are coming out here, and you had this, you know, it's funny, statistically, kids are actually, this generation is actually having less sex. Statistically.
Really?
Now, there's a couple facts that obviously, I know it's hard to believe, but I was teaching it today when we're looking at the numbers. Statistically, they are actually, sex is on a decline. Now, a lot of that, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of that is because of the digital virtual world and all the, you know, the OF and access to some other alternative things.
Wait,
the other side.
So you're telling me that Fortnite promotes abstinence? That's what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that ain't what I'm talking about. Yeah. It is a virtual interaction, but it ain't Fortnite.
Okay, I got you.
You have to understand something. You have to understand this. Is that part of? Okay, there was so many things I wanted to say, but I was having issues. You have to remember, sex has become so easy to get that love has become so hard to find. And what's happening is now is this generation has become so saturated with sex nonstop that they're like, I don't even want that no more. Like, I'm just like, bruh, like this is the same old stuff all the time. It's become so normalized that they're like, it's not even interesting anymore. And yeah, don't get me wrong, they still out there doing it, but the numbers are decreasing because they're losing interest in people as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a good and that's a bad thing, but at the same time, it is taking an effect. Because too much drama, it comes with it. There's too much stress that comes with it. And this generation has been raised to, I don't want no stress. So because stress comes with sex, they're like, nah, I'm good. But when I say, but when we talk about the future, the reality is this. Society will tell you, just like when you watch the news, it'll tell you that the world is just ugly, broken, and disgusting. But the truth is that there is still beauty. The reality is that there are still youth out here who want a great future, who believe in some value. There are youth right now that are standing on their own value because they see how crazy their generation is getting.
That's
you
true.
got Soraya right there. She in college. And she's standing on her own 2 feet saying, listen, I grew up like this and I don't care what y'all got going on. You know what's so funny is these youth, as bold as they are in negative things, they are also bold in positive things, in passion things. Like they are just, they don't have no limitations. They like, listen, you can't tell me what I can't do. And so if we were able to channel that same freedom and passion and willingness to speak their minds and all that, I mean, listen, all I got to say is this. I think that it is our duty as the older generation to simply guide these misguided missiles, because that's what these youth are. They're full of passion, they're full of strength, they're full of ability, but they just don't have that guidance system. That's what it is. And I mean, you figure when I was in the Marine Corps, I remember when I was in the Marine Corps, we used to teach, you know, when you're shooting rifles, if you're at 25 yards and you're off by an inch, you still hit the target, you good. Mm-hmm. But if you go 500 yards and you're off an inch, you're going to miss the whole doggone thing. The reality is that this generation is the same way. They're really, to be honest with you, they're really no different than we were. They just have more access to the things we didn't have access to. And the world had a different culture system and value system. But they're kids. They're the same way. When I was a teenager, I can tell you right now, I wasn't listening to nobody either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, let's be honest. We made mistakes and we did our crazy stuff and we got caught up in all kind of things. But the reality is this: the values were different then. And we weren't raised with so much access. They just have an extreme amount of access much faster. You see what I'm saying? So our job as the older generation is to understand that and then channel those resources, channel that ability, and challenge them to use their powers for good. You see what I'm saying? And listen, I believe in this generation. Like I do. And I've had to bury kids, all that, but I believe in this generation. Like I believe that there are some sparks in this generation like we've never seen. In the church, believe it or not, there's a whole lot more youth outside of the 4 walls of the church, like that video. There's a lot of youth that are starting their own little youth groups, that are starting little revivals all over the world. And see, we're missing it because the media is only showing us the youth that we see. They're only putting the magnifying glass on the crazy youth. You know, the media and TikTok and all that, they're promoting the sexy reds and all them crazy folks. The reality is, I've been in these schools talking to these kids. Half these kids don't even like these people. Half these kids will tell you these kids are crazy. Like half of these kids will tell you they don't agree with a lot of the cultural stuff that they're pushing. That they don't agree with a lot of the political stuff that they're pushing, that they don't agree with a lot of the entertainment stuff. Like I've talked to these kids and they'll tell you that junk is crazy. So the reality is the future is brighter than it seems, but the problem is that the media and all that stuff will put a shade on it and make you think that it's all broken and just lost and endless. But the truth is, you got Soraya right there. You got these kids on here right now. They're perfect examples of there's still hope. As long as there's kids still willing to listen and there's kids still willing to grow, if there's even one, it only takes one spark to light a fire. Like I said, maybe you could call me too optimistic, but I just believe that I still believe in this generation, and God can turn anything around. Gotcha. God can turn anybody around. We're seeing this rise right now culturally, bro. We're seeing this rise in people that are just pushing against the agenda, pushing against the systems, pushing against society, and they're saying, "I'm gonna do my own thing." And I'm just telling you right now, I think if we as the older generation get in position and we get the right ones, these young people in position, you better watch out.
Gotcha. Yes, real quick, just one quick, just a simple yes or no. You good, boss man. Kids, do y'all agree with everything Mr. Penton just said? Yes, just simple yes.
In a way, yeah.
In a way, okay. Soraya, Messiah?
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah, I agree too. I think everything has a spectrum.
Okay, so maybe that's another topic we'll dive deep on, but for time's sake, we gotta keep moving, y'all. So the next topic is what changes can be made to promote positive influence within the lives of our youth. And I really want to get Mr. Grayson's insight on this, because no shade to anybody else, or even Fenton, because I seen Fenton the same way. But for time, I'm gonna give everybody a chance to express their opinion. But I know I've been Mr. Grayson, we've been there in the detention centers, and you've seen how bad things can really get with these youth in the state they're in. So, your insight, what changes do you think can be made to promote positive influence or promote positivity overall, especially when youth are so, as society would say, I should say, so far gone, it's hard to change them. What changes do you think can be made?
You know, I don't think there's so much the emphasis needs to be on change. T goes intentionality. I think the focus on what we really need to have them do. I think change becomes evidentiary when folks want to make excuses, when we want to blame people. We feel like we got to change because that's where we're putting all the onus. The onus ultimately comes back on us. So if we can really understand that in order for things to change, you must change. What we've done is we've allowed the systems and everything around us, social influences, we want them to change. We want all that to change. Stop doing that stuff and we'll change. No, that stuff isn't going to change. You have to change. And the level of accountability that we have denied causes us a problem, right? Even if we look at things society today as it relates to social change or social influence, right? We're still blaming certain cultures for where we are in life. That's never going to change. So what are we going to do? I think there's a new perspective that has to be gotten about the power that you have. And I think the young generation, with, as Fenton said, with the mindset that they have, if they can understand that that is a good attitude to have, it needs to be harnessed and needs to be directed. But you do need to be able to go against some of the narratives that exist. But they're so influenced by the narrative that they end up making an effort to do something without the full capacity and support to finish it. So they get weary and well doing. They start, but if it doesn't happen right away, they think it's wrong. So when we look at it, I think change is what we want to have happen because we want everything else to change. We want the world to change. We want society to change. We want the president to change. We want all this stuff to change. And at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to sustain change is your attitude and your mindset shift. When I deal with people, I focus on the way that they think. And I'm not here to challenge the way you think. I just want to know why you think that way. See, most people just want to tell you how they think. I'm okay with how you think. Just tell me why you think that way. Because if you're going to go face the world is going to ask you to defend the position that you have. And you can't defend that position emotionally. You have to defend that position with some understanding. And the understanding comes with the true identity of who I am. We live in a world where kids identify with what they like, not who they are. And we've never, ever been taught to really accept and appreciate our identity. We'll do it about appreciating our color and we'll stand up for our color, but you're not defined by your color. And if you do, you've limited yourself. We have to get to a place where your identity should be in Christ. But we know that the world isn't taking that stance to the fullness that it should be. But if your identity is in Christ, then as we talked about before about you guys, we're talking about having babies. Love has become transactional, not unconditional. Transactions are just stuff that happens. And when you live in a transactional world, you deal with transactional outcomes. Having babies and all those things are unconditional commitments. Transactions are superficial. There's no depth there. So I think we're living in a world now where there is no depth. So none of this is going to change. All the things that have been introduced to us now are going to be here. It's for us to really understand what we're facing. Number two, who the real enemy is. And number three, how to defeat that enemy in the truth that we hold true to. Now, the problem is they've distorted the truth. We don't have a foundational basis to go back to anymore. There used to be, this is the way it went. Now we can't go back to that because that's been distorted, been misused and abused. And the two places that it used to be fortified was number one, the family, which has been torn, and number two, the church, which has been merchandise to where it's nothing but entertainment as opposed to a conversation about truth. So the two that used to support what we went to for some foundational foundational belief systems are gone now. So now what we do is we go to school. Well, we know what kind of foundation they're getting there. So now the three places that we spend the most time, we're not getting any sound doctrine. We're not getting any sound examples or models. So now we're creating our own identity. So I don't think it's about change because the things around us are going to be. It's always going to be summer, winter, spring, or fall. The clock is still going to move forward. Change is inevitable. That's going to happen. But it's our intentionality in that change. It's our perspective. in that change and who we're going to become because of that. I don't let the circumstances affect me. I tell kids all the time, you're the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the tone, you don't react to it. And I think that's where we have to get to. And it's not it's not an emotional expression. It's a true understanding of who I am, whose I am, and who I truly identify with.
You know, just to piggyback on what you just said, I'm gonna use Eric as an example. So I deal with Eric and Messiah on the everyday. And me and Eric have had some run-ins with me being a behavior interventionist and being the person that has to deal with their behaviors and mentor them and stuff like that. And me and Eric have had some altercations where I personally feel like Eric is trying to buckle against authority, and Eric will simply feel like he's trying to give his opinion. So he used to get in trouble a lot with me. But one day I stopped and I asked Eric, and I was like, Eric, why do you say things the way you say them or come up at authority like you do? And that's when the whole thing about, you know, being the mindset of Martin Luther King. And the main thing that got my attention was he's like, I'm just not gonna do things without understanding why I'm doing these things. Because the way you tell me to walk to class, I don't need you to tell me that. I could walk to class on my own time, my own speed. I'm still gonna get there regardless. So even having that conversation with him, like you said, it's not a thing that things need to change, it's that we need change as a people. Because having that conversation with him actually made me change, as in how I'm going to address him dealing with the situation, see how his mindset is, and know that, okay, I can't just give out commands without providing some type of understanding. So now when I address the kids, I still get crunk with them sometimes, I ain't gonna lie to you, but at the same time, I try to give them chances and try to explain to them, this is why I need you to do this. So now you're not doing this thinking somebody is being dogmatic or trying to be an alpha male over you or trying to just basically tell you what to do. There are reasons why certain rules are put in place, and there are reasons why I enforce these rules. So when you said the whole thing about us changing as a people and basically like doing Michael Jackson said, looking at the man in the mirror, I think that I co-sign with that, because with us changing and having more understanding of people and their situations and understanding the youth as a whole, and then changing ourselves based off those youth, I think we can make a better influence on the youth in that way, if that makes sense.
And Terrence, and on top of that, I'm going to use the example you gave about him and Martin Luther King. He knows Martin Luther King is somebody that bucked against the system. He doesn't know about Martin Luther King. He only knows the little bit that he knows. And that's what he's jumped on. That relates to his emotional combativeness, and he thinks that's a positive thing. He doesn't understand that that's a man who went to college at 14 and graduated with his doctorate at 18 years old. He did a bunch of the other things to position himself in a way that he could critically address the issues that were there. So again, we see only the part that aligns with where we are at that point. But if I look at the whole body of work that he did, that was a whole lot he was at 15 and being in college, at 18 being a doctorate in seminary. All those things were a whole different thing. So we only know a little bit. And that's why I said they don't know the history. They got to know the whole story, because that will show you and dictate how he got to that place. And he was able to lead a movement of nonviolence. Why? Because he had been through some other things. He had a foundation. There were some rules and morals and things that he stood on as related to his expression to people that people connected to. You got to remember that the speech he gave was, I have a dream. It wasn't a selfish. People bought into the dream. They weren't there to hear him speak about what he wanted. They were here because they bought into the mindset of a dream. They felt like that if things changed, they would have a better place. If all these things were moving, it would be better for everybody. So I think that's where we have to really understand the bigger scope of it. If we truly understand the bigger picture, and this generation doesn't often look that way, but if they really look to the bigger picture, they may see that what you're saying to him is not about walking down the hall this moment. It's about how you're going to walk 3 years from now in front of somebody. And he'd rather get it from you than somebody who loves him, because I can tell you this, the lip that they seem to have with us ain't the same lip they have with the popo. It's a different game. Why? Because there is abrupt, immediate change if my attitude is that way. So they've mistaken our love for availability to be who they want to be, as opposed to taking that love and understanding, if I keep walking this way, he's going to walk me into my destiny because he believes in me.
Right. Real quick question. We got a question from the viewers. Eric and Messiah, what do you guys want to be when you grow up? Man, you guys, I'm gonna come back to you right after we get after they give the answer to this question. Okay. Go ahead, Eric. What y'all want to be when y'all grow up?
Like I wanted to be a lot of things, from like a lawyer to like maybe like a doctor, and then like probably most likely I'm gonna probably be doing like economics, like stocks and things, and then like owning my own business.
Okay. What about you, Messiah?
On
Come on, Messiah. You're breaking up. Say again.
on the college first, economic business, college, football.
College, football, business. I heard those things. Is that about right?
Yes.
Good stuff. So I'm gonna say this. You guys got two male, very inspirational dudes right here who can, if you guys reach out, you know what I'm saying, they can help guide you on the way. I know they're entrepreneurs, they have their own businesses, and both of them do motivational speaking. You guys know Fenton from the True North Project and everything, but Mr. Grayson Marshall is a very good person to stay connected with. But I know for a fact, if you're going to connect with him, you got to be on your grind about your business, all right? Same with you, Soraya. Real quick, we got 15 minutes left in the show. So let's go ahead and get the contact information for adults. How can our viewers and everyone find you and connect with you guys?
I'll go first, Finn. It's easy to find me at bsblueprint.com. B as in boy, S as in Sam, blueprint.com. BS stands for belief system. The BS blueprint, your belief system blueprint, is what I focus on. Again, why do you think the way that you think? My number, it was in the chat, but it's 904-635-6588. I'm on every social media platform there is. You can go find it, friend me, and everything is fine. But my heart, again, is truly about helping people change the way that they think. Here's what I know. If I can change your thoughts, then I can change your beliefs. If I can change your beliefs, I can change your level of anticipation. If I can change your level of anticipation, I can change your attitude. If I can change your attitude, I can change your behavior. If I can change your behavior, I can change your performance. And if I can change your performance, I can change your life. But it all starts with the way you think. And that's what I really focus on when I work with people. How do you think, and why do you think that way?
That's deep. That hit hard, Grayson. I really appreciate you sharing that. Benton, if you want to go ahead and tell everyone how to contact you.
Yeah, you guys can reach out to me. I am Reach the Poet on all platforms. I can't say that I have anything as eloquent as Mr. Grayson Marshall, which, by the way, fun fact, Grayson Marshall and I, we met some years ago at Lorenzo's event at the church. Yeah, a long time ago, we did an event randomly. And so
Lorenzo Haynes?
Lorenzo
Haynes?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good friend of mine. I got to reach out to him, get him on the podcast too.
7 years ago, something like that. It had to be some time when I first moved back down here. So, but that being said, you can follow me on Instagram and reach out to me at Reach the Poet on IG. I'm an artist, so I make music and do poetry. And so I believe in changing people's heart through art. And so I believe that, life right now is we need more beauty. And I think beauty is going to be the key that cuts through the ugliness of the world. And I think it's through storytelling. And that's where my life has been called to, telling stories through music, through words, and to these youth. And so, give me a holler. You can reach me on my email at theLSLhouse@gmail.com as well. I do answer my email. I'm actually one of those people that answers emails more than I answer my phone. Just honest with you. So, reach out to me and we can get connected for sure.
Okay. So I think we got to speed this up. I see Eric over there getting tired. He yawning and stuff like that. And he got Messiah was playing with an Arizona bottle earlier. So we got to get it going. So just, I know y'all kids. I know y'all be on social media and stuff like that. I want to be fair. You guys want to tell people how to connect with you guys over social media and stuff like that?
Messiah.
Messiah, he gonna start with so boom, right? Go ahead, Messiah.
What's the question?
You want to tell people how to connect with you on social media?
Soldier.info.
Okay. Hey, what is that? Is that on Instagram? What is that on, boss man?
That's on
It's your
Instagram.
Insta? All right. Say it one more time.
Soldier.info.
Soldier.info. Connect with my boy Messiah on Instagram. Know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Eric. Tell me what's up, boy.
My Instagram is trillions.1K, and that's about the only social media I be on. And like, I'm not Hollywood, so like, I like if you text me, like I text you back. I'm not Hollywood at all.
Hey, but you may get how like that. People like your insight, man. So y'all never know what people might say. Y'all might get some good opportunities. And don't let no creeps try to follow y'all though, all right? All right. And my young lady Soraya, you want to put your social media out for people to talk to you? Because you've been giving some good insight.
Honestly, I don't really feel like anybody needs my socials because I mean I'm on like all the socials. Facebook, it's just my name, Soraya Nettlesby. Instagram, I think it's my first name .nx, and so Soraya.nx, and that's really the only thing I'm on. Like I don't really.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't check Facebook, so if you're really trying to get like in contact with me, don't, because I don't check Facebook.
Got you. So we got like, I say good 5 minutes left in the show. 5 minutes left in the show. Everybody with one answer, yes or no. The last question. Let's see, what was it? Are the youth of today lost, and can we still save them? What you say, y'all?
Absolutely, we can save them, and somebody's only lost if they don't want to go anywhere. Bottom line, I'm only lost if I have nowhere to go. They have some. That's all.
Yeah, I agree.
What I feel about people.
Okay, kids, y'all think y'all lost? Y'all lost?
Certain kids are lost in certain cases. They could be like depressed, and they might feel like nobody there for them, and it's like they don't really know what to do there because they don't have the proper guidance, and like they could feel like they all alone. So it's like, I mean, it'll be hard to save them, but it's possible.
Okay. I'll rock to that. So, right, Messiah, let's make it quick. What's up? What y'all say?
I agree with Eric.
Okay, cool. Miss Nettlesby?
I don't really think we're lost. I just think we're a little confused right now. That's it. And I think with the proper guidance and just getting back to what really helps, I think you can always save anything that's necessarily lost. I feel like lost is like a really bad word because like loss is like, okay, you're out of there, you're gone, there's no coming back. But I feel like we're not as lost as social media tries to put it as. Like definitely what Mr. Fenton was saying, he was saying like the news coverage, they only show the bad because that's what gets attention. People only want to see negativity. They don't really want to see positivity for some odd reason. But I think that we're not as lost as people try and make it seem. But I definitely think there's room for growth. But I feel like that's what any generation. Like every generation had their thing where it was like,
just a little turned around.
Yeah, like every generation has their thing where it's like, yeah, y'all are crazy. I'm pretty sure y'all like, what are they doing? Like every generation has this thing. Ours is just being a little bit more glamorized because we have social media. So now everybody sees what we have going on instead of like just little pockets of like, oh, little Bobby over there went to jail. Now the whole world knows Bobby went to jail for stealing a car. Like now everybody knows that. So instead of just that little circle.
Gotcha. Well, okay. So I thank you guys all for coming on tonight and giving insight. The best thing about this show is that we get different insight to have these conversations. So now that we have understanding of each other, we can go about it whether we agree or disagree in a more positive light. This has been Conversations with yours truly, T-Horne da Uncool. I hope you got something out of it. Thanks again to all the guests. And we're going to end this show with a be blessed, be uncool. Y'all have a good night now.
Don't judge me until you know me. Don't underestimate me until you challenge me. And don't talk about me until you talk to me. Or better yet, mind your business and stop minding mine.
Yeah, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, when my name coming out, must taste good cause you keep it in your mouth. Got something else for you if it go down south. I'm just playing. What the heck you talking about, huh? Why you worry about who I wanna date, huh? Why on the main course on your plate, huh? Why everything concerning me gotta turn to be argument or debate, huh? Is he a Christian religion? Has he forsaken? He just was dating her. How many women he dating? Had another kid? That nigga don't know when to stop. I heard he smoking, getting high. Boy, that fell from the top. See what I learned. This your concern. It's all about me. Y'all gossiping, made me look at y'all like female dogs in heat. But let's make something concrete. I'm seasoned, yes indeed. Y'all must like the recipe, cause y'all all on my meat. Yeah, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, haters try to diss me, they love me, but they dismiss me. Play hard, but acting sissy. They lies be so convincing, and exes get jealous quickly. They won't admit that they miss me. They hate that I moved on, so use my children against me just to keep up the top. People peep on my wall just to keep tabs on my flaws, just to keep me afar. Doing everything they ask me, but that ain't enough. I'm on everybody's tongue and everybody on my jump. His rap career won't take off. That nigga ain't hard, he really soft. Try to see his page, but I'm blocked. He was living for Jesus, then he stopped. Can't get girls just to knock him off. He lies, the truth ain't what he taught. I be so close to popping off, but then I realize I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh, I'm the topic of conversation. Circles talk about me. Yeah, I'm in rotation. I'm the one they talk and then they gossip about. Now it's so hard for them to keep my name out their mouth. Oh,
My whole life, I lived it based off of other people's opinions. They judge what I do, what I say, how I think, and I judge my whole life based off their interpretations. But now I got to the point where I realize my life is my own, and I'm the only one that can live it. So, if you got an opinion, keep it to yourself. I'ma live how I see fit.
I'm the topic of conversations. Yeah, I'm in rotation. Gossip about, keep my name out their mouth. Oh.